So to start off with, we've printed off the pattern onto A4 sheets because that was the only way we could print them, and painstakingly taped them all together, and then used this foam that was originally for horse boxes. It worked really well because it has a lot of structure, and then it was just measuring everything up and painting the marks onto the actual foam, and then it was down to the actual work, so sanding just the blade edge to get it to look like a blade edge. This took forever, but we managed to get it quite thin, which looked really good, and then we made it more pronounced later on using different foam. Please use better knife safety when doing this. But yeah, again, make sure it's a snug fit. You don't want it moving around in there because it'll just all come apart and be terrible. And then to make sure it actually fits and that you wouldn't get like a weird bump in the middle, we used card, also because we're about to use contact cement, especially a spray one, so wear a mask and use this in a very well ventilated area. We taped up the underside to make sure that it was actually the right size, and then yeah, just put the card over that without the dowel in quite yet. And then used so much glue to keep the dowel in place. We didn't use Gorilla Glue here because it expands a little bit too much for this. And then break time. And then it came to the cross guard, yay! And then created the 3D effect using tape to hold it in while the glue dried, and then we just left the tape in there. And then it's time to actually make it look nice because it looks really messy right now. Again, knife safety, don't do that directly onto your floor. Yeah, just gluing everything, smoothing it down, which took a while. Also, the foam stretches a little bit, so you might have to go back in and trim it, but yeah, very easy. Cute. So, like I was saying earlier, in order to get that pronounced difference between the edge and the main body of the sword, we used 2 different thicknesses. I found that pins worked really well here, like the ones that you use for sewing, but you won't be able to use them for sewing after that because they will hold a bit of glue residue. And again, 2mm for the spine so it wouldn't get really big. And then furniture tacks, we hadn't seen anyone use this and we watched a lot of videos. These were so easy, you just added a bit of glue and put them in and they were exactly the right size, so I would highly recommend that if anyone wants to recreate this. Using PVC pipe and a little bit of Gorilla Glue to put the pipe in place. And then the magnets, there'll be more on magnet safety later. And then onto the details. This took a while, and again, because foam stretching and things weren't quite the same size because of all the layers and sanding, but eventually we did manage to fix all of that, just have a ruler and pencil on hand. And then putting the magnet in place. And then just so much pinning and so much gluing and all that exciting stuff, making sure everything was lined up properly. This was like a 3 AM idea for doing the pommel, just scrap bits of foam, sliding that on top. We didn't measure these out properly, just kind of did it by sight and messing about a bit, but it worked really well. We didn't heat treat the sword because of all of the glue and everything. We didn't want things to get warped, and the flex paint worked really well without doing that. For the material we used 3M reflective tape, which made it look very magical, but we found that even with the discs this worked really well and looked really cool, especially under the light, as you can see. Then it came to the weathering. This was the most exciting but scary part. So we did end up going back over this with a bit of black because we got a little bit carried away. But yeah, just dry brushing, using some of that silver and some acrylic paint and just going over everything to make it all look scratched. We didn't have a pattern for this, we were just kind of doing it, making it look more natural. And then went over it all and sealed it in with the gloss finishing spray. And the final step was doing the leather wrap. This was very daunting, trying to line everything up and make sure it all fits. Not seen is that I then took a sanding block to the wrap and some of the black flexi paint just to make it look a bit more dirty and rugged. The harness was originally a posture corrector we found on Amazon, and then using scrap fabric I stitched on a pouch to house the 2 magnets. These neodymium magnets are really strong, so if you're using them please be cautious because they can shatter if they glide too quickly. To prevent this, the pouch actually has 2 separate pockets, so we could slide them together without this happening. And that's the build! For our first project, I'm so proud of this sword. There was a bit of trial and error with the magnet and some of the detailing gave us a little bit of grief, but otherwise it came out super well. We were really fortunate in that so many people have documented their own builds, and we took a lot of inspiration and they definitely helped make this a smoother process. It looks amazing and holds up really well, we've tested it out, and I hope this video helps anyone looking to make one after this. Thanks for watching, bye!